Joining us right now to talk about the rest of the college football world as well is Bruce Feldman, SI.com college football analyst and sideline reporter of TCU and Kansas State on FS1 coming up this weekend. Here's Bruce Feldman back on the show. How are you, Bruce?
I'm doing good, Rich. Good to be on with you.
Okay, so let's talk upsets. Is Oklahoma State due for one again? What do you think here? You've got TCU that's already handed them one.
Yeah, I don't think they are, because Baylor a couple of weeks ago put a real scare into the Cowboys' arch rival, Oklahoma. They hit some big plays down the field. Now, granted, a lot of it was some busted assignments from the Sooner secondary, but I think that Oklahoma State will go into this with their eyes wide open. I expect them to jump all over them early. They're so explosive offensively, and I just don't think right now Matt Rule's program has enough to keep up with them.
Well, what about K-State paying it forward back to TCU in the same way TCU did to Oklahoma State? What do you think about that one?
Yeah, Rich, to me, this is a legit upset alert kind of feel to it. Our crew had West Virginia at TCU last week, and TCU had their hands full. If it wasn't for their punter pinning West Virginia down deep in their inside their own 6 4 different times, I think West Virginia probably wins that game. It was a really bad offensive pass interference call that went against West Virginia's David Sills. To me, I give credit to Gary Patterson's staff. They made some really good trick play calls, 2 of them, that kind of got their offense at least on track a little bit. Watch out for Bill Snyder's teams, though. They are so well coached. We're going to see a different quarterback here this weekend from them. Jesse Ertz is hurt. We're going to see Alex Delton. He's a very dynamic young quarterback. And I expect the K-State team to rally with their starting quarterback down.
And now here comes Tom Herman's first crack at the Red River Showdown. Let's talk about Oklahoma coming off of that shocking loss to Iowa State, now taking on Texas. What a fascinating matchup this is coming up this weekend. Bruce, your thoughts?
Yeah, especially given the way that UT played last week. Sam Ehlinger, their terrific young freshman quarterback, we saw him just kind of grit out and will his way through some tacklers. And, when I talked to Tom Herman in the spring, there were 2 things that really jumped out at me. One, he said that Sam, he thought, reminded him a lot of J.T. Barrett, who obviously he had when he was the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, in terms of, sturdy, physical guy who can give you enough in the run game. He's not going to be a home run hitter, but he's going to hit you doubles and singles and keep it moving. And he's a real leader, has a presence to him. And we're starting to see that. The other thing he said was that this Texas receiving corps, led by Colin Johnson, who's a 6'6", 215-pound sophomore, is more talented and better than the group that they won the national title with in Columbus. Remember, last week and even against Baylor, Mike Stoops' defense had all kinds of problems. On defense. I think Texas can give them their hands full, but the question is going to be, Baker Mayfield, with the loss notwithstanding, 15 touchdowns, 0 picks. He's been carving up defenses. I just don't see him losing to Texas, which is basically the school he grew up around. I can't see him losing this last time out.
And then Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports, SI.com. Bruce Feldman here in the DirecTV 4K College Football Report. The other big upset of last weekend was Michigan State going to the Big House and turning Michigan over 5 times in a wet weather game where they prevailed. And they were a stouter team, of which there is no doubt. What about Michigan and Indiana this week? Is there cause for concern in your mind on that front?
There is, just because the Michigan offense has been really sputtering. We had both Michigan and Michigan State the previous 2 weeks in different games, and I like the direction Michigan State's headed in. They're really young, though. I did not think they would be able to hold up for 4 quarters against Michigan. But right now, the way Michigan's offensive line is not playing what we've come to expect a Jim Harbaugh offense to look like. I mean, defensively, Don Brown's got them playing lights out.
There's no question.
They are. Yeah, I think right now, to me, they're going to win that game because Don Brown's group is so good. But we got to see John O'Korn. He looked pretty good in our Purdue game on the road when he had to step in. Now, he looked really good also when Purdue had its 2 best players get thrown out of the game for targeting penalties, and that kind of helped open things up with the tight ends and everything. But they got to find a way to protect him better, and they also have to find a way to really get the run game cranked up the way we would expect a Michigan run game to be, because that's going to be the best thing that can help him out.
Certainly, since Penn State's on the other side, and you know they got to go point for point with that team, to say the least. Before I let you go, what is happening with USC and the conversation that you hear in Los Angeles about the play calling and Clay Helton's play calling, and how Sam Darnold has even had to apologize for some of the comments where that might be perceived that he has a problem with the play calling? What is happening with the Trojans who are taking on Utah at home this weekend?
I think they're struggling with the height expectations and all the hype that goes around being USC when people all board the bandwagon. You have really three different guys who are really heavily involved in the play calling mix. Clay, his brother Tyson, who works with quarterbacks, and T. Martin, who's obviously a great quarterback himself in college and now works with receivers and is really the OC there. And I think just about being on the same page of what they want to do. But the reason why this is magnified is because they are so inexperienced and kind of patchwork offensive line that I think is exposing a lot of things. I mean, Sam Darnold, I still think is a terrific young player, and they have a great running back in Ronald Jones. But a lot of this stuff is hard for them to kind of get into any kind of offensive identity because of the offensive line is such a mess. And I think that you couple that with an inexperienced group of receivers. Again, the question I would have here, and I think it's a valid question even, if somebody were to ask Sam Darnold or somebody to ask Clay or T, is what do you think the identity of USC's offense is right now? I don't think anybody has it doesn't seem like they have a real handle on that at this point.
Well, and then you just tell me if I'm wrong. I view this as there's no way this kid's going back to USC. I mean, why, or he's making some comments right here to say, if you want me to stay, let's listen to what I like, and let's start running stuff that makes me more comfortable. Is that a subtext that me as an NFL guy is reading into something that's not there, or is there any smoke to that, Bruce?
I think my feeling has always been that I expected him to come back in 2018. He hasn't played all that much football. He didn't play a ton.
Neither did Sanchez, neither did Trubisky. I mean, we could go on and on about that.
Yeah, I just look at it. Some of the pieces around him, USC should be a lot better in 2018 around him, especially on the offensive line, where I think that's where it's missing. The receivers, same thing. It's just, he didn't strike me as a guy who was like, I can't wait to get into the NFL. I think he liked, and granted, everything was going rosy when they're beating Penn State and, going on that roll. But I think he liked being the USC starting quarterback. I think he really was comfortable with it. I don't think there was a huge rush for him to get into the NFL. And I don't think those things have changed. I think what's important is right now they're going through some rocky times. My gut is by November, they will have got it sorted out. I don't think he's going to rush out the door. I don't see this mushroom into an epidemic. I really don't. I think, say what you want about Clay Helton. I think Clay Helton's got a feel for what the right thing to do is and how to sort some of this out. But right now, I think, there's definitely been some rocky moments, and I do think it'll clear up just because of the people involved will kind of see that, they got to get this on track and figure out what's most important. And right now, I think they're just kind of lost their way a little bit.
Bruce, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. Always. We'll chat soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, Rich.
You guys, Bruce Feldman of DirecTV 4K College Football Report.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that, please download our app. There's lots of fun things there other than just more of the videos you just saw. You can call us from the app. You can email us from the app. Just download it. Trust me, you'll enjoy it.